E.N.D here. Dominaria is synonymous with Enchantment Saga. These enchantments were first introduced in the first Dominaria set, and they became immediately popular, so much that sets after Dominaria, like Terror's Beyond Death and Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, also had these special enchantment cards. It wasn't a surprise that Dominaria United had Enchantment Saga cards, but the sagas in Dominaria United have a new mechanic: read ahead. Read ahead is a keyword ability on sagas that allows the player to skip chapters to get to the effect they want. A saga with read ahead enters the battlefield on any chapter you want, meaning it enters with that many lore counters on it. Any chapter you skip over won't trigger. But how do you play Enchantment Saga with read ahead? Let's build our battlefield and let's put in play some creatures, a hull breaker and an aerial guide, and let's cast the Phasing of Zhalfir. It has read ahead. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, another target non and permanent phases out, it can't phase in for as long as you control the Phasing of Zhalfir. And Chapter 3, destroy all creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller creates a 2/2 black Phyrexian creature token. It's a normal spell, therefore it will go on this deck, no counter, no response, and it will hit the battlefield. If the Phasing of Zhalfir was your normal Enchantment Saga, you will need to start from Chapter 1. But this is not your typical saga. The Phasing of Zhalfir has read ahead, therefore when it hits the battlefield, I can choose to start from Chapter 1, Chapter 2, or Chapter 3. In my case, I'm going to start from Chapter 2. Therefore, let's put 2 lore counter on the Phasing of Zhalfir. Chapter 2 allows me to phase one of my creatures. Therefore, I'm going to choose my Hull Breaker Horror. It's my turn again, and I will add another lore counter on my Phasing of Zhalfir. Enchantment Saga always move forward if able, and even though I skipped one of my chapter 1, I cannot go back. Therefore, I will add my third lore counter on the Phasing of Zhalfir. The third counter will trigger, and I will destroy all creatures, and for every creature destroyed, those players will create a 2/2 Phyrexian token. The Phasing of Zhalfir obviously is destroyed. My Hull Breaker is phased out thanks to Chapter 1, therefore it is not destroyed, and because now the Phasing of Zhalfir was sacrificed and is gone, Hull Break Horror will phase in during my next untap step. Some notes: as a saga with read ahead enters the battlefield, its controller chooses a number from 1 to that saga's greatest chapter number. This saga enters the battlefield with the chosen number of lore counters. Neither choosing the number nor putting the counters on the saga use this deck, and neither can be responded to. Normally, if more than one lore counter is put on a saga at one time, all the appropriate chapter abilities will trigger. The read ahead ability creates an exception to this. On the turn that a saga with read ahead enters the battlefield, its chapter abilities won't trigger unless it has exactly the same number of lore counters on it as that ability's chapter number. If a replacement effect modifies the number of counters that a permanent enters the battlefield with, that effect is applied after you have chosen the number of lore counters that the saga will enter with. In that case, only the chapter ability with the same chapter number as the number of lore counters it actually enters with will trigger, regardless of the number you choose. On subsequent turns, a saga with read ahead follows the normal rules for a saga enchantment. So that's how you play Enchantment Saga with read ahead. Leave me a comment below. What do you think about these new Enchantment Sagas? And hit the subscription button, subscribe for my channel for more and more interesting videos about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world.